Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Soap Scoop. It is a special festive edition because Chloe and I are going to preview all the big Christmas storylines that are out in today's issue of Inside Soap magazine. We've got all the spoilers from Corrie, EastEnders, Emmerdale, Hollyoaks, and of course some really lovely festive exclusive photo shoots, which I think you are going to love. I mean, Sydney and Vicky, anyone? Have you picked up that issue yet? Really, really happy with that. And I was on a few of those photo shoots, so I can take you behind the scenes of what actually went on. But Chloe, I mean, where should we start? Let's go with Coronation Street because we have a wedding, we have an attack on the cobbles, and lots of Swarla drama. So where would you like to start?
I mean, why don't we just go for it? Let's start with the Swarla drama.
Yes, absolutely. Well, all I can say is we've got Becky in a balaclava because she's wearing the anorak, isn't she? I mean, that was a giveaway. But Becky doing this thing where she is trying to convince Lisa and Betsy to run away to Spain because I think Lisa's starting to cotton on that something's not right.
Yeah.
So what's your take on it all?
Well, I mean, this feels like such a pivotal moment for Becky because at this point, Lisa's a bit sus because Carla is, well, apparently in Lanzarote, posting pictures of her sipping a cocktail. But then Lisa finds out that she's never checked into a hotel. And Kit starts to do a bit of digging as well. And it all seems a little bit suspicious that Carla's just vanished off the face of the earth. Has Becky got something to do with it? I mean, my spidey senses are tingling. We know she's desperate to get Betsy and Lisa out of the country. So she does something pretty extreme to kind of convince them that, oh, Curtis and his gang are after her. We know they're not after her. So, I mean, how far is she going to go to convince Lisa that they need to leave Spain right now? And what I will say is it gets pretty close to them, you know, getting the ferry and getting over there. And Lisa is adamant she doesn't want to leave the cobbles until she said a proper goodbye to Carla. And this is Becky's push to say, you know, you're going to leave the country with me. Lisa gives her engagement ring to Sarah to give back to Carla. Pretty brutal stuff.
I mean, from what I can see from the pictures, it looks like she starts a bin fire in the back garden. And I love this because the word bin fire plays an active role in my everyday vocabulary. I just love it so much. But looks like Becky is starting a real one in an attempt to get Lisa out of there. Do you know what, though? After we spoke to the lovely Amy Cudden, I'm now like, oh, I don't want Becky to be a villain. Like, I understand that we don't want her interfering with Swarla, but is there any way to keep this woman on the cobbles just because I love Amy so much?
Yeah, I mean, if Amy could come back as Becky's nice twin, I'll be up for that. But I kind of feel like Becky's days are numbered. I mean, she's got Costello, and there's actually pictures this fortnight of her interfering with Costello being wheeled out of hospital, which is another like danger warning because she's already tried to kill him off. What's she going to do with him now? He's vulnerable. He's in a hospital bed. She steals Lisa's police badge to kind of wheel him out of there. Like, I'm getting real danger vibes with her and Costello. I think this is her kind of peak villain moment. I'm really excited to see kind of where this is all going to lead. And where's Carla? I do not believe she's in Lanzarote. So where is she?
No, I know. I mean, one of the questions that we asked Amy on the podcast was, is anyone else in danger? How far will she go? And also we mentioned the idea that Lisa is more switched on to Becky than it appears. And Amy's answer to that was the fans are very in tune with what's going on. I don't know if that was a hint that Lisa might suddenly twig, but I can't see Lisa and Betsy getting on that ferry.
Yeah, there's got to be a moment, hasn't there? There's got to be a moment where suddenly the scales fall and Lisa is like, hang on a minute, this is not right. Because I know, and I'm with the fans who are frustrated. Lisa's a detective. She should be on this. She should be suspicious. And she's not. And there's Becky kind of going, we can get back together. We can play happy families. Isn't it perfect? You know, lovely Christmas. And you want Lisa to just be like, no, this is all wrong. But is she going to? Or is she... I mean, I know a lot of fans are thinking she's got to be cleverer than this. Is she playing Becky? I would love there to be that like little twist where she's suddenly like, I've known all along what you were up to, but I don't know whether that's going to be the case. She does look in some of the pictures like she's kind of maybe onto something, but maybe it's too early for that. Maybe she's got to be at the point of real danger to kind of realize who Becky really is. But yeah, massively exciting stuff for this lot.
I think obviously Kit's on the case, but whether we can rely on him to solve it is another issue. I wonder if
About Kit.
the only person that can come and save this now is Superintendent Ted Hastings on duty and the little wee donkey to really sort this out. But I've also seen a lot of fans, not speculation, more statements that Becky is going to die in Corridale, which is news to me. I've not seen that unless it was a wild report that has been unconfirmed. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we have said, I think from day one, and I think we need some credit if it comes true, that Becky's going to end up dead again. Well, dead again. But she never died in the first place, but she fake died. She's going to end up dead. She has to. It has to come full circle, in my opinion. And I think that, we always see good soap villains have this big, like, dramatic, climactic moment. And I feel like Becky's getting to that point. How far can she go? There's got to be a point where she can't go any further. And I think this could be leading to, some dramatic death in Corridale. It would be a great sort of stage for her death. And then what's the fallout going to be? Is it going to be that, Betsy blames Carla for her mum's death? Or I can just imagine like lots of offshoots of drama for this trio or foursome. And yeah, I could see it happening. I'm definitely convinced she's going to die. So whether it's in Corriedale or after, I'm not sure.
See, I don't want Becky to die because I think if she is on the verge of, she's tried to kill Costello. If she's on the verge of wanting to murder people, maybe she should receive proper comeuppance, like actually go to prison for it. And then she is just in the background like those Corrie prisoners, like Will Mellor's character Harvey. These prisoners always just pop up somewhere down the line and end up causing a bit of dramas. I can see that, whether she's on the street or not, she's constantly going to be a thorn in Lisa's side, which I know is a controversial thing to say. I'm very sorry, but
That's why she has to die, in my opinion, because how can she hang over? You know me, I always advocate for a good death. How can she hang over? How can she hang over them forever? There's got to be a point where they're able to move on. And I think my vision for Swarla, maybe an optimistic one, is Becky dies in Corriedale, some drama after that, and then we have a wedding in the spring. That is my vision.
And then that prison guard that Rob Donovan got pregnant decides that she can't continue with the baby from this little man, and a basket appears on Swarla's doorstep next Christmas with that baby inside for them to raise.
It's done, sorted.
Happy ever after, Swarla. We've just done the whole story. Yes, me and Chloe will get into this later, but we do have a gorgeous, exclusive, festive photo shoot with Vicky Myers and Sydney Martin, who play Lisa and Betsy. Not going to lie, we grabbed them at our Inside Soap Awards. You will recognise their outfits from that because you're not daft. But we did speak to them both very recently to bring that chat together. So thank you very much, Coronation Street, for sorting that out as you always do, wrangling the stars for us. And it is absolutely gorgeous. So make sure you pick up the magazine to fully appreciate it. Now, we're not done talking about Corrie because there is lots going on. The Driscolls are at the heart of the Rovers this year, new family in the pub, but it's all kicking off because Maggie has really got it in for Eva, and she's waited until Christmas Day to serve up this awful revenge, which kind of results, we can't tell you exactly who's involved, but somebody is attacked and left for dead in the Ginnell and is discovered by Evelyn. So we've got a bit of a mystery on our hands. Chloe, have you been seeing any theories just in the short time that this information has been available to fans?
I mean, it could be anyone. I mean, there's so many characters involved in their Christmas feast. If you've seen the photos in the magazine, they're actually... I thought they had a big enough dining room table in the back room to squeeze round, but apparently not. They've had to move the table into the Rovers to have their Christmas dinner. And there's some kind of random additions to the Christmas meal. I thought that, Will's pervy teacher would maybe have a family or some friends, but no, she's been invited for Christmas dinner as well. So is Daniel randomly, because, he's dating the teacher now. And, that's what I love about these kind of Christmas meals. There's so many suspects because we've got Adam and Alia there. One of them could be attacked. And you noticed something about a certain item of clothing that could be a bit of a red herring.
Yes, so in some of the pictures, Adam Barlow is wearing the same hat as Carl Webster, which us eagle-eyed soap lovers here were like, oh, that's got to be something. It's got to be a case of mistaken identity. One of them's going to get clobbered because they were wearing the hat. So whether that's got anything to do with it or not, I don't know. But you had some very strong opinions over Adam Barlow wearing that hat, which I'm not on board with, because I'm just going to say here and now, I love Adam Barlow.
I know you do. You've been with him through thick and thin. But as soon as I saw that pork pie hat, I was like, oh my goodness, that's immediately killed any attractiveness he had for me. It's the hat, I'm sorry.
Blaspheme! Chloe, I can't get on board with this. Adam Barlow, in case anybody's wondering, is what I like to refer to as my press release crush. So I'm very happy to put my hands up and tell everybody how much I adore him. Sometimes I worry that he's significantly underused.
Absolutely, I would agree with that. And I really am not on board with him and Alia either.
No, they don't have that spark for me. Like, I actually really enjoyed Adam and Eva. It's lovely that they are coming back sort of with a friendship. But yeah, I always thought actually the ultimate storyline for Adam Barlow was if they repeated Mike, Deirdre and Ken, but with Daniel, Adam and Daisy, because he's such a great character to kind of have in the mix. And yeah, I don't see the spark with Alia, unfortunately, as lovely as she is. So yeah, I mean, let's hope 2026 is the gift that keeps on giving for you and me.
Last note on Corrie, we have to talk about Debbie's wedding. Number one, her incredible wedding outfit. When I saw that, I was like, okay, if I ever get married, I need a wedding like Debbie's because she just looks fabulous. Yeah. But I think the thing for me about this wedding is there are so many secrets bubbling under the surface. You've got Carl and James. You've got Carl stealing the money. You've got maybe Kevin is slightly on to Carl in some way. But there's just so many things bubbling under the surface that I think it's going to be a fantastic soap wedding.
I'm so thrilled that Debbie is at the heart of Coronation Street at the moment. Of course, navigating her diagnosis with dementia. Still can't get over those amazing scenes of when the girls were all out and they were drunk and there was the shopping trolley. Yeah. Everybody in the office, I was one of the last people to see it, and everybody was just telling me how fabulous it was, and it absolutely was. Just kind of makes your heart break thinking that there's a trajectory for Debbie's character. But as Corrie have explained, this story is going to run and run. She's going to be around until 2027. So I'm so pleased about that. I think they're handling it brilliantly, actually. And I love Debbie and Ronnie, really believe that relationship. And Ronnie's fabulous as well. So the fact that he is in the mix. But this is all going to happen at New Year, kind of on the verge, as we know Corridale begins. I can't wait to see actually how this perhaps spirals off from everything. And Abby, do you think if she finds out about Carl and James, do you think she'll just go nuts?
Kind of hoping she sort of sits on it and stews on it if she does find out, rather than it being like just one big explosion. I'd kind of almost like her to, because let's face it, like she has given up her entire life for Carl. So I kind of feel like Carl deserves some proper payback. Don't get me wrong. I love Carl as a character. I know he's very controversial, but I think he's great fun as like a meddler and as like a sort of grey, kind of morally grey character that's doing really awful things. But I do see some softness occasionally with him. But I kind of, every time he kind of pulls a face when he has to look after Alfie, I just find it hilarious because I just think he does not want to be in this domestic bliss situation. He just wants to be having fun. And I would love Abby to kind of give him a taste of his own medicine. Maybe kind of if she does find out about James, which there's a kind of hint that she maybe will walk in on them on Christmas Day, which would be amazing. But if she does find out and he doesn't know she knows, I would love there to be some like cross meddling where she does something to him behind his back, just to get some proper payback, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've seen Abby when she's on the edge. You know, she had old Corrie in that sinkhole with a gun. Whether we're at that stage or not, I don't know. But yeah, the people that should have got together were Carl and Tracy, because they are two of a kind.
Yeah.
He would have had a run for his money with her. But the actual nerve of him to be kind of playing happy families with Abby, but still sneaking around with James, like you don't know whether to be appalled or impressed with the man. he's managing this at Christmas time, where I'll be honest with you, Chloe, I've not got the energy to buy a book of stamps, let alone be between two relationships. So
and he's stealing Debbie's money at the same time as well, and maybe making plans to move to Germany. So it's all going on.
Kind of love him, if I'm honest. It's a great soap character.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I love him.
Right, we're going to move on to Emmerdale. Chloe has much to say on our next subject, of course. She's like chief Robron fan at Inside Soap Magazine, and the two of them are under attack by mystery tormentor. I mean, there's candidates. There's the obvious two, John and Kev. Who do you think it is? Is it both of them, or is it someone else entirely?
Well, they come back from their little holiday away, kind of almost naively assuming that everything's now fine. They're going to start, this new chapter and everything's going to be happy. How wrong can you be? You're in Soapland. There's no such thing as, happy ever after, but they believe there will be. And their first instinct that there's these malicious things that start happening. So the trees outside the flat get set on fire. Aaron's car windows get smashed. His windscreen gets smashed. And they think it's Ross, because Ross starts to learn that they're wanting to get Seb back in their life. And Ross is very against this because he gave up looking after Seb. And that was a super hard decision for him. And he's like, I do not want Seb back in the village again. It's going to be really painful for me. So their first thought is Ross is the one that's after us. But, Ross has a good alibi and it's not him. So there are two very obvious candidates, obviously, Kev and John. Who do I think it's going to be? I think as it's Christmas, as we know there's a lot of peril, my feeling is it kind of has to be both of them in some way. Maybe they're both doing it but not realizing each other's there. I'd love for kind of like round one corner's Kev, round the other corner's John, and they're both kind of doing things without each other knowing. That would be quite fun. But yes, the kind of big mystery this Christmas is Robert goes missing. Is he in danger?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be Christmas in Emmerdale without someone tied up in a barn. And that's weekly, actually. Forget Christmas. Yeah. Maybe this is what happens to Robert at Christmas, is this, that he is tied up and poor Aaron's going to be facing a lonely Yuletide. But I mean, we've seen the posters in Corrie. John is still wanted. He's very much in the ether, so he could come back at any moment. But Kev also left the village swearing revenge. I'd be happy to see both of these villains back. If you think the start of the year was so John, and we were so sort of invested in all that madness, and then Kev came along with his samurai sword and kind of changed the game, and almost John has been put in the shade. So
I think it's the same for Aaron and Robert. I don't even think they're thinking about John. In fact, we've got an interview with Danny Miller in the magazine, and he said that John's not even on their radar, which is quite bizarre, really, because everyone keeps talking about Kev in the village, but no one's thinking there's also another complete psycho out there. Just, we don't know where he is, and he's done all these awful things. And I kind of felt unsatisfied with how the John stuff concluded, because there were so many things that he did that they were kind of found out, but no one really had their chance to confront him or have a big showdown. It only really came. And I felt like a lot more of the villagers needed their moment in the sun with John, basically. So I'm hoping that we are going to see him again, and there's going to be kind of some big confrontation and showdown. And what I will say is that Christmas into New Year is massive for these characters, and we can't give anything away at this point, but there's lots of very, very vague spoilers about what's going to happen between Christmas and New Year, which implies to me that big stuff is going to happen. We know that Aaron's in Corridale. I will bet my life that Robert's in Corridale. So are these all going to come crashing together in some way? That is my suspicion. But I think it's going to be high stakes, high peril. I know Danny Miller has basically promised that there's going to be lots of twists and turns, and they're kind of purposefully leaving stuff secret for now. So even we don't know the kind of general twists and turns, but all I know is it's going to be big. So really looking forward to that.
I'm so excited for Corriedale. I can't tell you, it's going to be the soap event of the year kind of kicking off. It's going to be brilliant. Now, we've spoken about a couple of villains there, but there's a couple of awful villains, like not even just hiding behind walls, hiding in plain sight. In Celia and Ray. We've got a beautiful feature in the Christmas magazine out today with Charlotte Bellamy discussing this, what she believes it to be, or at least what Laurel believes it to be, this beautiful fairy tale romance. And I'll admit, watching this and seeing the soft side of Ray and Laurel, I've been championing them. I want there to be a redemption plot for Ray. But then Chloe told me, Chloe was actually watching ahead in Emmerdale because she speeds right ahead and I'm catching up. And she told me about the scene, first of all, where Celia goes for Rona and actually digs her nails into her face, which, oh my word, madness. And then the scene, but this is awful, where Ray basically threatened Rona and started bringing up Piers, and we know, of course, that Rona was attacked by Pierce in some really harrowing scenes. But it was after that I kind of had to check myself and go, oh, hang on a second. Like, how can I be like wishing Ray and Laurel off into the sunset when he's just done that to Rona?
I mean, Rona's getting the brunt of it, I have to say. Like, I mean, that family is really going through it at the moment. But I was with you. Like, I was watching the scenes with Ray and Laurel thinking, actually, they make a really good couple. And you know, I love sort of the family scenes and the Christmas scenes, and reading what Charlotte's had to say about, you know, Ray's never had a Christmas before. He doesn't even know how to play charades. You know, he's never experienced normal life. He's always been like Celia's puppet and groomed by Celia. And is there room for redemption? I kept thinking, well, yeah, because you can see there's times where he just wants a normal life, but then you're sort of seeing him, you know, try to kill Dylan and not have any remorse for that at all. And then the scene with Rona, I just felt sick because, I mean, it was an absolutely incredible scene, because how else are you going to show how dark Ray is? By literally, he's got his hands over Rona and kind of tucking her hair behind her ear and talking about Pierce. And it is just the most chilling, awful, irredeemable thing. And then I was like, okay, I take back everything I said about Laurel and Ray. But then, you know, you see him again with Laurel and you're like, well, actually, they're really nice. But we can't like Ray anymore. I think we have to put Ray off the table. But also Ray does something absolutely awful towards the new year, despite the fact he wants a happy ending of Laurel. He's kind of forced to do something really awful. And I think that's going to be the point where we're maybe wanting Ray to do the right thing, but maybe he does terrible thing. I just can't see any other ending for Ray than him making some sort of like sacrificial death to save some other poor person in this trafficking ring, because he has to redeem himself in one way, but I also don't see him getting his happy ever after, and I don't even know whether he deserves it.
Sorry, Chloe, you wishing another death on another? Oh my God.
I told you, like, I'm brutal. I'm just like death, but I see that death as different to Becky and Corrie, right? So Becky and Corrie has to die because it's like the conclusion for Swarla. Ray has to die to sacrifice himself to prove that actually there is good in him. There's death for different reasons, and not just all about the murder and the grizzly.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I completely agree with everything you say, but I don't want Ray to die. I don't.
Becky to die. Like, you would want no one to die if we went your way.
No, I might as well sat here with my halo on while you've got the devil. You know,
I've got the axe.
Chloe's brutal. I'm so hooked. Every story is intertwining, every character involved. Like, it's really great. If you're not tuning into Emmerdale, please do. It is so great.
I am on, at the moment, I'm trying to persuade the Corrie fans on social media to come over to the Emmerdale side, because obviously when we get to Corridale, if you're not swatted up on the opposite soap, you need to be. I think I'm going to do some like revision guide or something to make people come over, because I think both soaps are really, really good at the moment. And to get the best out of Corridale, I feel like you've got to watch both. So maybe this Christmas, if you've got nothing else on, watch both so you can really embed yourself in the storylines. So when Corridale comes along, you know all the characters, you know all the stories, you're excited to see them cross over. That is the way forward, I think.
Well, while we're on the subject of Emmerdale, let's just touch on Charity's baby bombshell, because that may or may not be revealed over the Christmas period, because that is typically the sort of time that this sort of thing would come out. She's done a good job so far of keeping it under wraps, but it's surely a matter of time. She's spending Christmas with Vanessa, which might come as really good news to Vanity fans. But it's all a bit tense because Vanessa knows what's going on, and we know that Vanessa is quite righteous, whereas Charity not so much. So we could see them two kind of come to blows. Do you think Vanessa, because of everything they've shared in the past, will keep that secret for Charity, or do you think she's like, no, I'm going to march right up to people and tell them?
She's very loyal, is Vanessa. I'm a big Vanessa fan. I think she's a lovely person and good friend. But like you say, she's very quite moral, quite righteous, and she would obviously be outraged at this secret. But I do know that alcohol is heavily involved at Christmas, and we've all seen Vanessa drunk, and she loves to, run her mouth off a bit. Would she spill that kind of secret? I'm not convinced. I think she also sees that Charity and Mackenzie have got a pretty good and serious relationship, and I don't think she would, between them. But what I will tease is that for Vanity fans, unfortunately, this might be the start of a bit of a tension between these two characters, rather than, even though Christmas they are in the same vicinity, this might cause a bit of like fractions between them. So I wouldn't get your hopes up too high that there's going to be any kind of, a Vanity Christmas. But I think that this is obviously the start of the secret maybe unraveling. I think that Charity is going to be fighting fires this Christmas, and maybe people will find out things that they shouldn't, but maybe it might not be the whole truth. So we're going to see what Charity is going to have to come up with this time to keep her lies in check. But I love this story. I think it's so good. I know some people were disappointed it wasn't actually a kind of straightforward surrogacy story for Sarah and Jacob. And I've made my feelings on Sarah very clear, so I won't go into that again. But I think Charity's such an amazing character, and the fact that she's sort of juggling Mackenzie, Vanessa, Ross, trying to keep everyone happy, and also her granddaughter. And I just think this secret is going to just absolutely blow everything to pieces. What is Charity going to have left at the end of this? I mean, I guess this could be a way back for her and Vanessa, because she's going to have nothing at the end of this. So I am excited to see. I know it's unpopular to say, but I do think there's a good connection between her and Mackenzie. And I'm kind of, after the whole bunker situation, I do feel like Mackenzie deserves a bit of a break, doesn't he? Not to find out that his wife is potentially, is pregnant with someone else's baby. So it's going to be hard for the whole family. But yeah, that's bound to come out soon.
Yeah, Sarah and Jacob are just pawns in the game of this whole storyline. They are collateral damage, I'm afraid. That's it's obviously also as well, it creates great rivalry within the Dingle family. So maybe Charity will find herself at the Dingle court and cast out into the world by herself. And of course, it is Ross's baby, so that lends itself to a lot of stuff between Charity and Ross. We do actually have exclusive festive photo shoot with Michael Parr, who plays Ross, and the wonderful Bradley Riches, who plays his brother Lewis. We got the two of those together and had a lovely chat. So make sure you flick forward to that in the magazine. We can talk about the behind the scenes of that later. But now seems like a good time to move on to EastEnders, who never do their Christmases by halves. And that is no exception this year. We have all the stuff going on with the Slaters and Zoe Stalker. There's Pat and Barry back from the dead for Nigel's special episode. And then, of course, we have the flash forward to look forward to on New Year's Day. And I'm going to start off this conversation by saying I cannot wait to see Pat back in EastEnders. Thoughts, Chloe?
Well, number one, Pat, I mean, I really can't wait. That to me was my era of EastEnders when I first started watching, and she's such an iconic character, and I just think her energy is unmatched. Even now in modern EastEnders, like, we don't have a character like Pat. I'm really looking forward to seeing her. Barry, of course, like, his death will always be, well remembered. I think friends of mine who don't watch EastEnders anymore are always like saying to me, they should really bring back Barry. And I'm like, he is dead, but we're bringing him back. He's back. So it's great to see him. What I loved about all those viewers with sneaky eyes will have seen the photos already, but the pictures of the Vic is dressed and decorated exactly like it was in the 90s. And I just think that's such a cool attention to detail. There's even ashtrays on the table, for goodness sake, which is such a great detail. I mean, the set directors need to get a raise for that. It was brilliant.
Yeah, actually, when we clocked all that in the pictures, I agree. I was really, really impressed by that. They do think about those things in EastEnders. And I agree with what you said about there's not a character like Pat on the square. The thing I loved most about Pat is because she had connections to so many different families, she could be the person that went between them all and moved the plot along. But you loved her for it. I mean, and she cared. And, you know, even when people were being hideous, she was always there to support them and be their friend. She was a lifeline for so many people. So yeah, I'm kind of gutted actually. I mean, I know when Pam and Clement wanted to leave, they did a really big exit for her and she deserved nothing less. And we got, you know, David Wicks and Wixie back and they were scenes that go down in history. The idea that we don't have her on the square anymore does hurt my heart. So I'm really thrilled that she is back for this episode. And that may be something quite nice to enjoy in amongst the darker stuff of Zoe Stalker, who, to be honest, it's been kind of going on a bit, I thought.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit like, do I care who the stalker is? I mean, at this point, and I'm not encouraging this sort of behaviour from anybody, but if there's someone lurking in the shadows at this time of year, the least they can do is help Zoe with her shopping, because there's a lot of bags to carry at Christmas time. I mean, that's kind of how I'm feeling. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's the stalker storyline. I mean, obviously, we know it's going to be featuring on Christmas Day, so there's going to be some more twists and turns and kind of surprises. But I mean, for me, I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is actually Linda coming back and Max coming back. I mean, the Brannings to me are like the thing I'm most excited about. And the Max flash forward, I know again, there's been a bit of a like, I wouldn't say backlash, but there's been the people that are like, oh, I'm not that excited. I'm totally the opposite. Like I've said before, I'm a bit anti when soaps play around too much. But I do love a flash forward because it gives you so many questions and so much speculation. And obviously, when they did it with the Six, there was like, you know, who's dead? You know, what's the kind of setup? And there's all these suspects. But with Max, we've seen photos of him in a wedding suit. Now, is it going to be his wedding? Is it someone else's wedding? You know, if it is Max's wedding, is there going to be like a surprise bride? I know people have sort of speculated Stacey, but are we going to see like, you know, multiple women that it could be? I mean, I think everyone's expecting him to get off with Cindy at some point, aren't they? So could Cindy be, you know, Max's mystery bride? Could we be, you know, looking forward to a Max and Cindy wedding in 2027? I think the possibilities are endless. And I know it's a lot of pressure for the soap as well to kind of come up with things that they're going to do in a year's time. But I think it's kind of nice to have a little peek into the future and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the continuity challenges, haircuts, all those sorts of things does make it quite exciting. I have said in the wild that I believe that it is a case of who's Max getting married to. My ideas, I mean, I would love to see Vanessa Gold, Bubbly's in the fridge. Lacey obviously is the dream, to see a bride turn around and it be Lacey Turner stood there. Tanya as well, although I don't think she would go there again with Max. I think our Tanya's learned her lesson a long time ago. So yeah, I am really looking forward to seeing what it brings. But yeah, it's a huge challenge. You know, Hollyoaks did a flash forward quite a few years back, and then the pandemic struck.
Yeah.
So you never know what's going to happen. It is a risk, but it's bold and it's brave, and that's what we love the most from our soaps.
Yeah, I watched the Hollyoaks one very recently, actually, because I just, out of interest, wanted to see the difference between the two episodes. Now, obviously, they had the pandemic to, you know, was a huge challenge to get past and social distancing and stuff. But they did an amazing job. But even though they had an actor change and all sorts, they did a fantastic job of kind of blending the two together. And I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of when we get to 2027, we can look back at this year or 2026 and go, oh, you know, that was a clue to that. And those, you know, those characters are connected because of this. I always remember when Hollyoaks first did it with the Who Shot Calvin. And I always remember that was one of the first ever soap flash forwards. And it was amazing at the time to be a viewer and be like, why are those two characters like together? And why are they friends? Or why are they enemies? And you get a whole kind of a year of kind of watching these characters move into place. And I love that. I think it's going to be really exciting. And I think maybe the Zoe storyline hasn't lived up to what we hoped. So I'm hoping that the Max one will kind of take over and be the thing that we're all excited about for the new year.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to continue, you were saying about the Brannings. I actually was so lucky to go on the photo shoot for EastEnders that's in the magazine today. We're going to get onto the shoots because we've got some lovely behind the scenes anecdotes for you. At EastEnders, we have Zara Abrahams, Kitty Castledine, and Ellie Dad, who of course play stepsisters Chelsea, Penny, and Amy. They, oh my God, so much fun. Like, obviously, they all look absolutely stunning. None of those girls take a terrible photo, so I was just sick watching them in front of the camera. But yeah, absolutely beautiful. We had bubbles on set and photo booth props. And they all spoke about their characters so intelligently, and I'm kind of championing that trio to be like the new EastEnders sibling powerhouse. Like, you know, if these three girls kind of come together as like the ultimate sisters doing it for themselves, I think that would be really fab.
I'm hoping that they'll get some more storylines next year. Like you say, they absolutely look gorgeous in the photos. Did they give you any teasers about what might be coming up for them?
I think they have all got a ringside seat to the Max Branning drama. It sounds like it's going to be a busy Christmas, and it's kind of like the Fox, you know, obviously Amy is split between the Brannings and the Mitchells, but then you've got kind of Chelsea between, she's Fox Branning. So there's loads of like intertwining going on. And yeah, Zara might have said actually in a whisper that she's got some good stuff coming up next year, which I'm really pleased about because Chelsea, for me, I love the character of Chelsea Fox has always been brilliant, but I've always really enjoyed Zara's take on it. I'd like to see her at the heart of the drama, and all of them as well. But yeah, Kitty, who plays Penny, speaks about her character as so she knows that character inside out. Ellie, who plays Amy, she chatted to me about working with Rita Simons when Rita came back in that vision as Roxy Mitchell. I think Ellie would love Amy to really follow in her mother's chaotic footsteps, is the sense that I was getting. But yeah, I hope they are at the sort of heart of the drama. And yeah, please do have a look at this shoot because it is gorgeous.
Speaking of shoots, who else have we got in the magazine?
Well, we teased Vicky and Sydney, didn't we? Yes, so we grabbed Vicky and Sydney on Inside Soap Awards night. Our editor, Sarah, personally fished them both out of the party, coerced them. Not, they didn't need a lot of coercing. They were very lovely and wanted to have their picture taken, but we wrangled them into the photo booth area because, of course, everybody's dancing, having a good time at that time of the night. But yeah, they were absolutely gorgeous. And then, yes, we spoke to them both for the Christmas issue. They've got some really, I mean, you know, all of you who love Vicky, how emotionally invested she is in her character and just always gives the most thoughtful answers. And Sydney is exactly the same. Like, I just got this impression that playing mother and daughter is just such a special thing for them. And you can see that in the pictures. Like, don't they just look absolutely stunning?
It's like a magical photo shoot. I mean, I know we took the pictures on the awards night, but we could have been taking them in a enchanted forest at Christmas. You know, it has that kind of atmosphere. And you're right, both of them are just utter delights. I've had the pleasure of speaking to both of them, and they care so deeply. Like, it's not just, you know, if they turn up and read their lines. They are absolutely invested in their characters, in the story. Every answer they give is just so well thought out and beautiful. We love having them in the magazine. Anytime they want to come and speak to us, we are always grateful.
Yeah, they're always so accommodating with their time. And I can't stress enough to anyone listening how stretched the soaps, particularly, I mean, I don't think it's any different for Hollyoaks and EastEnders, but Corrie and Emmerdale, if you can imagine the logistics involved in organising the shoot for Corridale, as well as filming their own stuff. I said before on this podcast that when we got the interview with Ali and Vicky, this was right in the thick of them filming Corridale. They were still able to get on the phone and give us that interview. And that's no different for what happened between Vicky and Sydney. And indeed, we've got Mike and Bradley as well from Emmerdale, just giving up their time and trying to schedule two people at the same time. Like, there are actual heroes in the press office when they get these people for us, because it's grabbing a moment here or there while they're in the middle of eating a sandwich. Like, that's the reality of how these things come together.
Yeah. And like you say, the Corridale thing, because they want it to be such a spectacular event, and obviously from the trailer, I'm tingling watching the trailer because it just looks incredible. And I believe they've been filming kind of everything surrounding Corridale for a couple of months. It's not just that they've filmed it, you know, over a few nights. it really is like epic TV. And obviously the idea, I think, is to get everyone on board and watching both. And certainly, like, I mean, we watched them all anyway, but if I wasn't watching Corrie or I wasn't watching Emmerdale, this would totally draw me in, because I mean, it looks incredible, and all the stories that are coming together in one collision basically are the biggest storylines of the soap and the biggest characters, all your favorites, all the characters you want to see. And I mean, I just wish I'm kind of wishing Christmas away, if I'm honest. Like, get Christmas out of the way. I want to watch Corriedale.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Christmas is the biggest time of year for the soaps, that there is an event coming in January that's just gonna put it in the shade. So yes, absolutely. Now we also have Mike and Bradley, as mentioned. We spoke to them. They are so much fun. I love Mike so much because he's really funny. He has great things to say about Ross Barton, and Emmerdale is such a great ambassador for that show. I think we missed him when he was away. He's bringing the full Ross Barton for us now and has not let us down. But also the addition of Bradley Riches. Now, I'm perhaps a little bit biased because I was on the dance floor at the Inside Soap Awards dancing to Candy with Bradley, and Sheb's leading the way. Yeah, Bradley is one of the sweetest, nicest humans you will ever meet. He really brought the energy to this photo shoot. He was the one like doing all the dance moves. They've got the Titanic pose. I mean, honestly, it was so much fun to have him. So the both of them are welcome on our pages anytime. And we should also mention we've got a lovely Hollyoaks shoot with Dawn Hope and Jimmy McKenna, who play Pearl and Jack. That is really, really gorgeous. And our editor Sarah had the pleasure of being on that one and just said that it was, I mean, I think there was a lot of rummaging underneath a Christmas tree to get it in the right place. That's a real Christmas tree, by the way, people. It's not one that we just stuck on the page. Yeah, it was all there for them, and they were brilliant. Jimmy McKenna, I always think of the song Fly Me to the Moon with Jimmy, because he's been to a few of our parties and he'll be up in the bar singing Frank Sinatra. So I'm going to have that in my head all day now, and I hope Chloe will too.
Yeah, I love Jimmy. I got the chance to meet him a couple of years ago. I think by the time I got to speak to him, he'd already had quite a few. So he was top entertainment that night.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our festive roundup of the soaps. I mean, you can get the magazine. It's out in the shops today, but this is me and Chloe putting the icing on the Christmas cake for you with some of our insider knowledge. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. I've been really enjoying all of the interaction with you on YouTube, and certainly in the new year as this podcast moves forward, we are going to be taking on a lot of your theories in a special segment for the show. We want you to be as involved in this as possible because it's your podcast to tell us what you're loving and hating in soap, and that's what we want it to be. So have a think about that and get in touch with us. You can contact us on the social media, or it's podcast@insidesoap.co.uk, or just comment on the YouTube and we will pick it up. But in the meantime, Merry Christmas issue of Inside Soap, and we will be back next week for Festive.